What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here for another, well, I was about to say morning stream. It is Good Morning Tottenham, but look, it's morning somewhere, right?
Good
it's morning somewhere. Good afternoon, Tottenham. But now we're here for a preview stream for the big game against Wolves this weekend. We are joined by Danny Kyriakou back in the studio once again. You know, it's not been a while since you've been here last weekend for the watch along.
Yeah.
Great job you did there, but welcome back, my friend. Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you for having me again, Ben. I'm happy to help out as well.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm always here to help you, man.
Thank you, man. It's and obviously everyone go subscribe to his channel, Tottenham on Tour. But look, we've got a game to talk about today. Wolves at home, a game that we lost last season. And actually, when you look at it, the first 3 games of this season, we lost all those games last season. When you look at Southampton at home, Chelsea away, Wolves at home, do you read too much into that kind of the points difference from those kind of games last year to this year?
I think a little bit, because if you look at it, right, it's like some of the things I was saying, it's a bit like of the law of averages a little bit, because you might go and win
apart from when you go Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, apart from when you go Stamford Bridge, yeah. But in a way, we did a lot better than we expected.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
But I think with these games, yes, you're expected, if you go and beat the teams that you drop points from last season, of course it makes you think, okay, maybe you're starting to improve again. But it's when you come up against the teams you don't expect, or you expect to get a result and then you don't get a result. So it kind of, how I see it is, it kind of balances out over the season, because we could go and beat Wolves tomorrow, which we lost last season at home, but then we go to say Nottingham Forest come to the lane and we go and lose to them, or we go and draw to them. Or,
you know, with the 2 City games which we won last season, you know, that's not a given that we win any of those games.
Exactly.
The 2 Liverpool games that we drew both last season, you know what I mean? None of those are givens. But when you're looking at the Southamptons and the Wolveses, I mean, they've got to be 3 points.
Yeah, you should. That's what we should expect.
Yeah.
We should expect 3 points from those games, no matter what. Because ideally, if you want to compete with those teams above us, then we have to be winning the games we should be winning. And then I was saying on the watch along, the games that we against the top teams, the idea is to not lose. That's the main thing. As long as you can pick up points, if you can't win the match, like we did against Chelsea, pick up a point, because that's going to be crucial come the end of the season. But again, you have to win those games that you're expected to win, or you should be winning. Yeah,
it's true. And you know, coming into the game against Wolves this weekend, how do you assess Wolves? Because the way I look at them, they started really well last season, very strong at the back. They have lost Connor Cody. They're going into a different system now with 4 at the back. They always give us a tough game, don't they? Always give us a tough game.
And I'm going to say this now. You've got to look out for Max Kilman, because if he's playing,
great player, yeah.
If he's playing tomorrow, I remember I loved watching him last season. I kept an eye on him, and I think he's a great defender. I think when you watched him against us at the Lane, he was one of their best players. He was just aggressive, quick, sweeping up everything. He just wasn't letting our attackers get anywhere near there.
Player as well.
Yeah, he was. He was good at ball players, getting up the pitch. So I think he's going to be a danger man in terms of defensive wise for their team. And yeah, we've got to look to try and make sure we're a bit more innovative and creative in our play tomorrow, if we're going to have a chance of beating them, because we know they like to get in your faces. They like to press. They're not scared of possession as well. They're good on the ball. So it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow.
For a team that's so used to playing 5 at the back with Connor Cody at the heart of it, Connor Cody's gone now on loan to Everton, which was a strange one in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean.
Do you think that plays into our hands a little bit, because they're playing a system which they're not completely comfortable with just yet?
A little bit. I would say, yeah, a little bit, because, again, Connor Cody's been a mainstay in that defence for how many years? And I think there was a stat recently, just after he left, then they said that he'd only missed like a handful of games since he actually joined Wolves in terms of starting, and especially in the Premier League. So it goes to show how vital he was for that team. So it was very strange why they got rid of him. There must have been something, who knows, but yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because... yeah, it's a different dynamic, and I think also you could say we've got a different dynamic. It depends who we play. It might be the same sort of team, maybe with 1 or 2 players difference from last season, but I can't remember. Was Kulu? Did we play Wolves before the January window?
No, it was after.
It was after. So okay, yeah. I don't know if Kulu was actually playing at that time.
I'm not sure if he started or he came on that game. He definitely played some part. but it was before that Kulu and Bentancur got fully integrated.
Yeah. And I think that's going to be a massive difference because them two are going to start tomorrow no matter what. And I think that's going to be a real test to see how we do against them with them two in the team. But on the Wolves side, one of my favourite players in the Premier League, and I know last season he was injured a lot, but it's one to watch, and this season is Pedro Neto. I think Neto is brilliant, and I think if he's fit tomorrow and plays, which I think he is, he's going to be very interesting because he causes problems. Yeah. He's a very big problem
very
player.
Tricky customer.
He is both good on both feet, cross on both feet. He's quick. He's got stamina. He presses. So, it's going to be an exciting game, I think. It's going to be quite end-to-end, I think, as well.
The one thing about Pedro Neto, I completely agree with you because I really rate him as a player and I think he's got supreme ability, but I've always thought he needs to be doing better in terms of his output for goals and assists.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's had this is his, second season in the team?
Second or third, I'm not sure. I'll check that out, but go on.
But yeah, when he's in his breakthrough season, he was brilliant. But again, yeah, you're right. His numbers weren't crazy numbers. Like, he wasn't getting into double digits.
His fourth year this year.
Is it fourth year? Yeah. Okay, so I mean, he had one last year was pretty much injury hit, and the year before that was where he really kind of broke out. And he's what 22. 22, yeah. So yeah, he was 19 when he first joined. He's still a very young player, and I think this season, if he performs and gets up his goals and assists output for the season, I think there'll be a lot of clubs circling him at the end of the season.
I mean, at that age, I mean, there's always scope to improve, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely.
Last year, he played 13 games, 1 goal, 1 assist. Year before, 31 games, 5 goals and 6 assists. In his first year, he played 29 games and 3 goals, 3 assists.
So he started to get better, and you could see the improvement. But then the injury obviously caused him problems. So I think if he can take another level to what he was on his best season, and maybe go like 7 goals, 7 assists, or something like that, that's pretty good for a player who's that young as well in the Premier League. But yeah, for me, I would love to see him at Spurs. I would love him at Spurs. I think he's a brilliant player.
I mean, he's been linked with Arsenal at the moment. I would hate it if he moved there.
Could you imagine if he goes to Arsenal?
If he moves there. But look, if this next slide isn't a reason why we should be worried maybe about this game, because you're looking at the past 5 results against Wolves, in our last 3 home games against them, we've lost against them twice.
Yeah, it's quite bad.
You know what I mean? And I find it a weird one with Wolves because I always feel like we play better at Molineux and they always play better at the Tottenham Hotspur. Yeah. It's a weird one, isn't it? Because you can't really see much teams in a head-to-head where that's the case.
Yeah, it's a strange one. It's like, I wouldn't even say they're a bogey team, maybe a home bogey team, because, I mean, obviously based on those last kind of, 5 games, the 3 of the home ones, we've lost 2 of them.
I know.
So, I mean, the only thing about that is I think you could say it's circumstantial based on where we were and the managers we had at the time, and the positions and players we had available. I think we were in sort of not the greatest of periods when we played them both last time. I mean, I know the Wolves game last season, that was just a massive anomaly. I think that was after the Southampton game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like literally in the space of a week of each other, Southampton and Wolves.
And then we lost both 2 games, and I think that was really poor from the team as a whole. But it's one of those ones where we just don't know what's going to happen. Which Spurs are going to turn up tomorrow? Are we going to get the Spurs we've been seeing the last kind of 7-8 Premier League games where we're literally trying to thump teams, 3 goals, 4 goals? And I know obviously Chelsea's Chelsea because that is our hardest away game of the season. But I think it's going to be a high-scoring game tomorrow. I think we're going to see at least 2 goals from each team. I think it could be like a 4-2, a 4-3, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, I really think it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Are you worried at all about Sanchez coming in this weekend ahead of Romero? Because let's be honest, like he came in at the beginning of the season, 3 clean sheets. He came in at the end of last season as well against Arsenal and the remaining games after that, and he stood up to the challenge.
Yeah, I mean, look, Sanchez is not the greatest ball-playing defender. He's no Romero. We all know that. But I was having this argument on Irish Hotspur 2 days ago, and I was saying the thing with Sanchez is if he is in the team for a short burst, for like 2, 3, 4 games at a time, he's all right. You can kind of rely on him to an extent. Like, I'm not saying he's a great defender, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that you can rely on him to do his job, right? Which is, if you look at the last, 8 games or last 10 games, we conceded like 2 goals in the Premier League, and majority of those games he was part of that team, and so was someone like Emerson, for example. So I think that he can come in and do his job, as long as I don't see what I saw from him in pre-season, because in pre-season he looked like the old Sanchez a bit, where he was shaky, looked really nervous. And we know what Davinson Sanchez's weakness is. When he's pressured on the ball, he has massive problems. He loses his confidence or his head a bit, and he doesn't know what to do. He loses his decision making. It kind of goes a bit wonky. So I'm hoping that he can come in and do a job. And look, it's not ideal, but this is the situation we're in. We're not going to go and buy another defender. We can't buy one to play for tomorrow. The other option is Tanganga, and right now I'd probably rather see Sanchez, because I think Tanganga, last season, what we saw of him, he was just, I've never seen him so poor. He was awful, and he's even worse on the ball than Sanchez, in my opinion. I think for me, Tanganga needs to go on loan. He needs to go and play some football week in, week out, in a position where he can really kind of develop. Otherwise, I don't think we're going to see the potential that was there for him realised. But Sanchez, I think he'll do a job. That's as kind as I could say it, Ben.
I mean, here's my unpopular opinion. You might disagree with me, but I actually think Davinson Sanchez is one of the best backup centre-backs in the Premier League.
Okay, interesting. Why do you think that then?
Because I don't think many other teams have. I mean, Liverpool and City aside, because you can't put him in the same category as like John Stones and Konate and these kind of people. I mean, I'm not as deluded to say that he's up there with them, but maybe outside of maybe the Man Cities and the Liverpools, when you're looking at Chelsea's backup centre backs, who do they have? They don't really have anyone there anymore after Christensen and Rudiger's gone. They're short there a little bit. You're looking at Arsenal. I think Rob Holding. I think Sanchez is better than Rob Holding.
Yeah, I would say so.
And people like that. So name me, apart from outside Liverpool and Man City, a backup centre-back that's actually better than Davinson Sanchez.
Yeah, I think it's funny when you actually put it like that and you actually look at as a whole in terms of backup centre-backs. You probably would say that, and that's in a way, is that saying a lot to the top teams, the top 6 teams, backup centre-backs? Are they, barring Man City and Liverpool? Because I do think Chelsea will strengthen again, but you could say maybe he is. It's a good argument to have, because when you compare him to Rob Holding, I think he's definitely better than Rob Holding. I know Rob Holding, Sanchez is not the greatest on the ball, but he's definitely more athletic and more. He definitely will provide a lot more. I know Sanchez scored a couple of goals for us last season in some moments.
Important goals as well. Last minute goal against Watford.
He did, yeah. I mentioned that as well to David, and I know how David feels about Sanchez. But look, we have to live in the reality we're living in, and that is Sanchez is our player, and Conte obviously trusts him to the extent where he feels that he is a good enough backup, because if he didn't, I'm sure they really would have pushed for another centre-back. Who knows? We might still get another centre-back this window, but right now Sanchez is that player, and I wouldn't want anyone else, and I think he'll do a job. I think he will do a job tomorrow.
And don't get me wrong, I'm not like sitting here saying Sanchez is the greatest defender of all time.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of Sanchez, and I've also said it on this channel time and time again that I feel like he probably would need to move on at some point. But the more and more I've thought about it, I'm happy with him to back up Christian Romero. I really am, and I think people maybe use him as a scapegoat a lot of times, and that happens a lot with players. And I think Davinson Sanchez, people probably overhype how bad he actually is, and he's not as bad as people say he is, albeit he is fairly bad.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, if you know, I know exactly what you're trying to say. I think he's not as bad as people make out that he is. I mean, look, my personal opinion of Sanchez is, and I think maybe most people would agree, is that we need better. But we also understand the reality, and we also understand where we are and how much work our squad does really need. And they've obviously just started their process of building a team that can really challenge on all fronts. And I think we'll see that over the next couple of windows. I think we will see the team getting stronger and stronger and stronger. And I do see Conte staying as well. But yeah, Sanchez, look, the only concern I have for him is, do you know what's weird about Sanchez is sometimes, right, he'll have a game where he's really good, and when he's on the ball, his passing range and passing's like brilliant, and he'll do some brilliant passes, long balls across the field, and then other times,
it's up there.
yeah, it's concentration. It's the biggest thing with him, and even Conte said it himself. He literally said, if Davinson Sanchez could concentrate for 90 minutes, he would be one of the best defenders. And that's literally what he said. And I think Conte sees that. And I think that's what he's trying to get into him is to focus for 90 minutes. And if he can do that, Sanchez may be a player that we might have for years to come. But we obviously, so far, we haven't seen it. But we have seen signs last season that he has improved. We have to be honest. He has improved last season from what he was the season before. Because the season before, he was a calamity. He was a mistake every single game nearly. And obviously, I think Conte's got majority of the mistakes out of his game, but there is still a mistake in him, as well as Dyer. But yeah, it's interesting to see.
I think we better move on from Davinson Sanchez, because I think if we speak about him anymore, I think David is going to be after us, the Irish Hotspur. You know what I mean? He's already gunning for you a bit, Danny, this morning by talking about anything positive said about Sanchez is not allowed, apparently. So, no, I'm kidding. But big up, David, by the way, in the comments. Let's talk about Wolves and the Wolves team coming into this. Like I said before, it is going to be a change of system for Wolves as we played them last season. Usually they are playing 5 at the back, but looking at their team now with 4 at the back, Chiquinho, Raul Jimenez definitely out injured. Yep. João Moutinho is a doubt, 25% chance of playing. So he's probably not going to play. This is a similar team to what they played last week, but last week they had Gibbs White in there, but he's obviously moved on now. He's gone to Forest for I think 35, 45 million or something crazy like that.
Insane.
How does anyone justify spending that kind of money on him? It makes no sense to me.
When I saw that, Ben, I thought I was reading one of those fake Romano accounts or something like that. And I had to look again, and I was like, no way, they've just paid 45 million for him. Gibbs, they've paid 45 million for Gibbs White. Wasn't he a former Arsenal player, wasn't he? Was it him who was the Arsenal player?
I think it was. I'm not 100% sure, but when I heard his name, I thought that as well.
Yeah, I'm sure that he was playing for Arsenal before, but yeah, when I saw that, I mean, I was thinking that is just one of the most insane transfers to pay 35 million.
He came through the youth at Wolves.
Oh, he came through the youth. Okay, right, fair enough. Oh yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah, he went to some other clubs on loan, but
we're probably talking about the other. They used to have Gibbs, didn't they? Left back.
There was. I don't know why I thought that was him, but yeah, I remember Gibbs at left back. But yeah, look, I think what's interesting with that team selection for tomorrow, that's potentially most likely going to happen. I think it's different because they usually like to play us with a back 5, and I think it's going to play into our hand a bit. I think we don't like playing against teams with back 5s. I think because when they set up like us, they compete. Like look at what happened with Chelsea. Look what happened with Brighton when they set up a back 5 against us. They beat us at our home ground. Wolves normally beat us when they play a back 5. Now they're going to play a back 4. I think it's going to suit Sonny, Romero, suit Kulu, and Kane as well tomorrow. So I think it's going to be an interesting battle. It's going to be really interesting to see.
If you bring up that formation one once again, the predicted Wolves lineup, and we'll go through their team. So Sarr in goal, very good goalkeeper. Johnny and Aït-Nouri on the wings, which ain't too bad. Kilman and Collins, which is an interesting one because obviously Cody's gone, like we mentioned before. Yeah. And it feels like Kilman and Collins from Burnley last season already striking up a bit of a partnership there at the back.
Yeah.
You mentioned Kilman before. Collins obviously complements him with different attributes. And I think that's, a defence that we're going to have to get at tomorrow because, they're going to be very solid, very composed and very organised as well. Especially, coming in from a Burnley defence, you're always going to be like that. So how do we get at this defence this weekend?
I think it's going to have to come from the way Conte wants to play the system, really, is the wing-backs and the wingers. I think they're going to be very crucial. And again, Harry Kane has to perform. If Harry Kane performs and... it depends because I don't know if they're going to play a high line tomorrow because Wolves, they sometimes play a high line and sometimes they don't. It just depends. And I haven't really taken too much notice of how they've been playing with this new system. They haven't been hitting the ground running sort of thing. They've kind of been all right. But it's one of those things where it can always grow, and you just don't want that to happen against you, and that's the thing. And I think again, our front three is going to be the most important thing if we want to win. As long as we can keep the back line kind of solid and not make too many mistakes, I don't think they're going to score that. Well, I said they might score quite a lot, but
the thing is, they rarely score more than one goal a game.
But whenever they come to Spurs, they always score more than one or two, don't they? It's always Spurs. We always break. I'll be honest. I think it'll be like a 2 or 3-1 tomorrow. I think to Spurs. I do think we'll win. I just think that the formation change is going to be a big part of reason why. If they somehow went for a back five tomorrow, then I'd be looking for a lot tighter game. I think we seem to struggle against those back five, because what happens is the wing backs, they seem to not get into the box as much, or they don't get in behind as much. Then it depends if they want to double up on someone like Kulu, like Chelsea did. They doubled up on Kulu, so he was having hardly any joy on that side. And then it's whether other players step up or not, and that's the key thing. If they step up and do what they're supposed to do, then we're going to have a bit more creative joy. But that's always my worry when when the team plays a back five against us.
Yeah, it's true.
What do you think, Ben? What do you think for their formation change? Do you think?
I think it plays into our hands.
Yeah,
I think it plays into our hands, because I think it's so hard to play against them when they play that back five, especially as it's matched up against us on the pitch. You know, it's literally going man for man, and it's like whoever wants it more on the day, whoever's got more quality on the day, obviously wins the game. And how many times have we said it against Wolves that we got coming into this game? Oh, we should win this game, and then we come unstuck against this Wolves side, especially at home. It happens time and time again. So I think if they play 4 at the back, that obviously takes away a man from their defence, and that will give us a bit of an advantage when we go and attack them. But on the other side to that, they are a very good defensive team.
Yeah.
But I think they have been able to be got at a bit more this season because they don't have that 5 at the back, and because they're not so used to playing that system as well.
Yeah.
And that kind of proves it in the kind of one-to-watch graphic, which we'll bring up in a second, because Jose Sarr is 5th in the Premier League for the amount of saves he's made this season already.
Do you know?
2nd in the season. I know he's a very good goalkeeper.
Yeah, he is brilliant.
Very good goalkeeper, but if you're 5th in the league for the amount of saves you've made, that means your goal is coming under attack.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So that's true. So I think we might have a bit more joy in terms of getting at them because of the formation that they're going to play. Like you said, they're not used to it. I'm just really excited to see how Kulu's going to do tomorrow, because he had a bit of a bad game, and I know he doesn't have too many bad games. I know last season, whenever he had a bad game, he came back firing every single time. So I'm excited to see how he does tomorrow, and I think if we get a victory tomorrow, I think he's going to be key again. I think he's just phenomenal, Kulusevski. And do you know what's interesting, Ben? It's also to see if you think Conte's, I don't know, we'll probably get into this, but about if you think Conte's going to change personnel at all or anything like that. I know we'll get into it, but just on touching on Jose Sarr for a minute, for me, if that's who I want to replace Hugo Lloris, I think he's a brilliant keeper.
Interesting.
But the only thing is, I know he's a bit more in his late 20s, isn't he? So I'm not sure if Spurs are going to go for a young keeper.
I think he's a very good keeper. I rate him a lot, but I think to replace Hugo Lloris, I think we're going to be looking at a younger keeper that can be there for the next 10 years or something.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And, you know, rumours about Meslier from Leeds and stuff like that. But look, we'll see what happens with that one. But another player, well, let's talk about actually the midfield battle first, because it's going to be a tough midfield battle. You've got Dendoncker and Ruben Neves in there.
Top players.
You know, hard-working players, gritty players, especially with Neves, knows where the goal is and has a bloody good shot on him.
Yeah.
How do you think they compare, or how do you think they will compare on the pitch to Højbjerg and Bentancur if it is them?
It's going to be hard to say, because whenever we play against hard-working midfielders, we always have a tough time in midfield. The prime example, I know it's Chelsea, right? But Kante and Jorginho, they were working tirelessly against us, and they completely outrun us in the midfield. The amount of times Jorginho was getting on the ball, they were in our faces, and Højbjerg and Bentancur couldn't cope with it. The last time I saw them like that against a top team, well, even though they were performing badly, was against Man United when we lost to a Ronaldo masterclass. I remember that was Bentancur's probably worst game in his Spurs shirt, and he went completely missing. Now, the biggest thing for me is that if them two can really dominate the midfield together, personally, I think they're good in certain games against certain teams. But when you're playing against someone who's really going to work like press you and really going to force you into errors and stuff like that. I think they seem to struggle together. Personally, I would love to see Basuma start. The question is, who is going to replace Basuma for? Because it's weird, because most people probably say the partnership they want to see the most is Bentancur and Basuma. But there's obviously something there, because every single manager refuses to drop Højbjerg, and they all love him, and because of what he can offer. So it kind of looks like, at the moment, if he's going to pair anyone with anyone, it's going to be someone with Højbjerg. I don't know. What do you think on it? Do you think the midfield? Do you think them two, Bentancur and Højbjerg, need a change, or do you think they're good enough to go into the game tomorrow and get us a victory? Or do you think maybe we do need a bit more steel in that midfield? Someone like a Basuma who can really kind of cover a lot of ground. He gets in people's faces. He's aggressive. He's strong. He's big. He's quick.
I don't see why Højbjerg and Bentancur wouldn't be good enough to win this game tomorrow.
Yeah, okay.
I think they're more than good enough. I mean, Højbjerg has been an absolute mainstay in this team, especially since Conte's come in, and Bentancur as well has been a revelation. But when you talk about a revelation, you're talking about a revelation against Harry Winks, so it's not the hardest thing to do. Let's be honest.
That's true. I think the bar was, Ben. It was so low.
Exactly, but that's the facts of the matter, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I'd love to see Basuma come in. I really would. My preferred midfield partner, and the partnership which I'm most excited to seeing, is actually Basuma and Skip.
Really?
That's the partnership that I'm really looking forward to, because I think Skip adds something so good to this team. I mean, his energy, his prowess. It's not just the way he defends at the back, but the way he drives forward as well. And I think that whenever I've seen Skip play, he gets better and better every game. And injuries have stifled him so badly, so much. And I think that when both of them have a good run in the team, I actually think Skip's going to be better than Højbjerg. I really believe that.
Do you really honestly believe that Skip will be better?
Yeah, I do.
I think. Do you know what? I think if Skip can get rid of these injury niggling issues that he keeps getting, and he actually gets a consistent run. I mean, last season, how important was Skip in our team? He was
our most important player.
Yeah, he was our most important player till he got injured, wasn't he? And that's why we had to go and bring in. Because I got a funny feeling, if Skip wasn't injured, I don't think Conte would have brought in another midfielder, if I'm honest. And then we would have run the risk of maybe not even getting top four, because he would have thought, okay, Skip and Højbjerg are fine in that midfield. What I like about Skip is I think he's even better defensively than Højbjerg is. I think Højbjerg's really good at intercepting the ball, and he's really good at winning the ball back. But I think Skip's a lot more aggressive, and they all offer something similar but all different at the same time. And that's where it's hard to see who the best partnership's going to be. But that is an interesting. I haven't actually heard anyone say Skip and Basuma, but again, it's something that we probably will see, because I think the key for Conte is his versatility and his rotation. I think it's to keep players fit and keep everyone kind of pushing each other to really get into that team and keep everyone happy as well. And I think we're going to see a lot of different types of mixtures of combinations of players in that midfield. We might even see, at times, we might see three of them play. So we've got different ways that we can do three of them. We could have a Skip, Bentancur and Højbjerg. You could have a Skip, Basuma and Højbjerg. It's so nice that you can have the different options. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see who. I think tomorrow he will go with Højbjerg and Bentancur. I don't think he'd change it.
The thing is, though, it's interesting because tomorrow is actually the start of the really busy period, because next week we got. Is it next week? No, it's the week after, isn't it? That we got West Ham. So it's actually not this week. It's next week against Forest. I think you'll see a few more changes. But I think this weekend against Wolves, you're probably going to see the same lineup as we saw with Bar Sanchez and Romero.
Yeah, I think so.
You'll probably see the same lineup, and then maybe when Forest come along and the games start coming with the midweek games and the Champions League start coming on, that's when you're going to see Conte really utilise his squad.
And I'm quite excited for that, because I'm really intrigued to see how he's going to rotate players. Obviously, there's always going to be people talking about Perisic. There's going to be people talking about which right wing back they're going to play. And yeah, I think with the I know we'll probably get into this after, but I want to touch on Perisic as well, because I know loads of people probably want to see Perisic play. But yeah,
I would love to see Perisic play, and if I was going to make one change of the new signings to come in, that's what I would do.
I've asked people this question, right? Because I think everyone would love to see Perisic play. If he's 100% fit, he's got to play. He's a top player. My thing is on him is, I think Conte will play him as soon as he's 100% fit. After the last game in his post-match, he was saying that he still wasn't 100% fit. So that's where I think that I don't think he will play to start. I think he'll come on again from that last 15, 20 minutes maybe to impact the game, which he did against Chelsea. And I think he'll do that again. For me, if I was to give him a bit more rest, where I would like to see him start, if he's fit, is the West Ham game. Because that's a game where it's always West Ham's cup final. They always think it's their hardest game of their season, their biggest game of their season. That's all they really care about. They don't care about nothing else, just beating Spurs. So if we can have Perisic for a game like that, I think he'll show them what a real top footballer is all about, in my opinion.
Big up to West Ham, by the way, and their massive European night last night. So really, really big win for you guys. So, but nah, jokes aside, I think I think you're right. I'd love to see Perisic start that West Ham game. I really would. But back onto the Wolves team for a second. We've gone through their midfield and defence. Let's just go through their attack quickly because Gibbs White is out. He's been starting there last couple of games. They've got a new signing in Guedes coming from Valencia, who had 11 goals and 6 assists in La Liga last year.
Quite a good turnout.
He can play up front. He can play on the wing. He can play even number 10. So, I mean, a very versatile player. You've got him, you've got Podence, you've got Neto, who you've spoken about, you've got Hwang as well. A tricky little attack there,
I was about to say, yeah. They're very, agile type players. They're very quick. They're all kind of quick. They're quick on their feet. They're quick with the ball. They're very, like you said, tricky is the word. They're good on both feet. Majority of them are. I think all of them are actually good on both feet. So they're going to cause us problems because... we know what we're like. We know what Tottenham are like when we come up against a team who've got fast attackers. It's whether or not, for me, I think, again, it's the midfield battle where the game's going to be won tomorrow. I think if we want to stop Wolves scoring or really going at us, those midfield options, whoever plays, they're going to have to help out that defence as much as they can, and they've got to cover as much ground as they can if we really want to pull something out of the bag tomorrow. Because they have got a very tricky attack. We've seen it before with Wolves against us when it's always they always cause us problems, don't they, with their attackers?
Always cause us problems. But not historically, but in the last year, maybe since Nuno has left them, I mean, they found it hard to score goals. They have, because last season they rarely scored over a goal a game. The back end of last season, they weren't scoring any. They're on terrible form. They've started the season. Start of the season this year, they've not been scoring. I think they've lost their first 2 games, Wolves. So I mean, they're going to come out with a point to prove this game. They need to kickstart their season, especially with the change of system and stuff like that. And when you look back at last season, why they struggled to score goals, Pedro Neto was out for the whole season.
He was.
Raul Jimenez was out for a long stretch of time. I mean, Jimenez is out again today, and I think that's a massive miss for them.
Yeah,
because he's
definitely.
like that focal point. He's that focal point up front for them, and he really brings other players into the game as well.
And he loves scoring against us as well. I think that volley he scored last season against us was an unbelievable volley. But again, it was bad defending, wasn't it? They just let him have the ball, and that was a brilliant goal. But do you know, I think that he's going to be a big miss for them tomorrow. And do you know what? I'll be honest. If we were to go and get like 3 or 4 goals, say we get 4 goals tomorrow, it's like a 4-1 victory or 4-0 even, I think that really will show people where our level is. And I know I'm not trying to get ahead of ourselves or anything. All I'm saying is that I think it shows how far we've come from last season when we lost 2-0 at home to them to now, especially when a few days ago we basically drew to Chelsea when we played absolute shit. If we're in all honesty, we were awful, and we still managed to come away with a point. And that's why the Chelsea fans were crying days afterwards. Salty Chelsea fans. But,
Proper.
Yeah, but look, if we were to go and have a big victory tomorrow, it really would show how much we've improved. I think. I don't know about you, but I think
I agree, and it's important on this run now to pick up as many wins as we can, because just around the corner we got Man City away, we got Arsenal away, we got all these big away games coming up, West Ham away, so it's important for us now to go on a run and really to put away the teams that we should be putting away. And then if we can get those results at the Emirates, at the Etihad and stuff like that, what a position we're in.
Oh, it'd be brilliant. It'd be absolutely brilliant. And do you know what, Ben? I think the biggest key, what I've seen in the last sort of, 10 games, for me, is Tottenham's the way the team spirit is and their team mentality at the moment. It's like they're starting to embody an Antonio Conte team where there's that never die attitude, never give up. You saw it at Chelsea. We went 2-1 down within. We obviously they scored first. We scored. They scored again a few minutes after, and then we went and we just never gave up. We just kept going, even though we were playing bad. We just kept going and going and going. And I think the key to having a successful season this season is when we are playing that bad and we really can't get a win, we have to just not lose. That's the key. As long as we can pick up a point when we're playing that badly against whatever team it is, then, because there's always games where, like last season, where, for example, Brighton at home, right? It wasn't the greatest game, but we just couldn't score against them. We just couldn't do anything. We weren't getting shots in. We weren't doing anything, and then they go and win it right at the end. Those are the type of games where if you can't win, you have to not concede, and you have to not lose that game.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the key for us this season. And I think we will see that more. I think we will.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Completely agree. But that is that on the match preview. What's the score prediction you're going for? You said, what did you say?
At first I said 4-2, then I said 3-1. Do you know, I think I'm gonna go 3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs.
3-1 Spurs. And Kulu's gonna get one of them.
I said on the Predict the Prem, I said 2-0 Spurs. I'm going to stick with it.
Okay.
I think that we're going to be solid at the back. First clean sheet of the season's got to come at some point.
It'd be nice to come at Wolves.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to come at Wolves. And like I said, yes, Wolves do like to score a goal against us or two, but on the other side, they are struggling for goals, and they've been struggling for goals for a while. And without Raul Jimenez there, I think that they lack that focal point up there. And I think we'll be able to stifle maybe Hwang or Guedes, whoever it'll be up front. And also, you're looking at someone like Guedes coming in his first start in the Premier League, and that's never easy.
No,
it's never easy, especially coming up against an organised Antonio Conte side. So I'm going for a clean sheet this week, and I'm going for a 2-0 win.
I hope you're right. It'd be nice to get the clean sheet. I'd rather a 2-0 win and more goals, because I think we need to start getting those clean sheets, because I think it's good for the clean sheet, helps their confidence and their belief as well, especially when Romero's not playing. It will be good for all of those defenders and to get that clean sheet. So I'd love for that to happen.
Absolutely. So that is our match preview.